trades, and more trades. You got to tune in for this one. Oh, yeah, I got a special guest. Stick with us. It's going to be a good one today. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And you see the background. The draft is 2 nights away. I know y'all are excited. The anticipation, the drama, and the trades. Oh, boy, the trades. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Sean Spencer. I am here tonight. Got a special guest to help me break down some trades that have already happened, help me break down some potential trades that will happen, and in a little Washington Commander nugget at the end. But like I said, I am not alone, and I love it whenever I get a chance to bring on my guy. This guy, the host of his own show, Big Nate Sports Talk, has interviewed the players in the WNBA, interviewed coaches and players from Maryland women basketball. I mean, this guy is killing the game right now, and it is my absolute pleasure to have this dude on. You know him, and just like I, Mr. Really? Nathan Snell. Big Nate, what up, baby?
What's up, Sean? How you doing? Good to see you, as always, buddy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Always good to see you, my guy. And whenever you could take a minute away from all of the amazing things you're doing, hey, look, I'm always so excited to have you on, man.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since the last time we've done a video together. I think the last time was where we did our late night. I want to say it was late night video. We tried to do a late night talk show.
We did.
Last time?
Late night. Yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up in the background. Late night with Sean and Nathan Snell. Look, that's still out there. We might revive it. I gotta see how the people in this house are. But yeah, we definitely might revive that. That was definitely a good one. Oh man. So big dog Nate. All right, man. The draft is right around the corner.
Does it feel
football
like
talk? I mean, I'm right. You know, there's so many different things going on. This off season is already 2-3 months in. I know Washington had their voluntary workouts today, so they're getting in house. Yeah. So, hey, talk to me. How are you feeling? This being, almost through the month of April. May is right around the corner. It's heating up. How you feeling right now, man?
I'm feeling actually pretty good. I'm not really too nervous. I'm actually curious to see what Washington will do with the top 10 pick. I'm curious to see what Baltimore will do with the top 15 pick. Last time Baltimore had that was with Kyle Hamilton. So I think both teams are in great situations. I think Washington, if I'm looking at what they should do, I think they should focus on the offensive line-ish. But it wouldn't hurt if they lean in wide receiver. I do think they need to focus a little bit more on the defense. I do, even though I think they did address it in some areas, I think they need to work on the line a little bit. I know Jonathan Allen's not getting any younger. Deron Payne, the linebackers, and the edge rushes are showing their age. So you could do a lot with the 7th overall pick. As far as Baltimore, we need a lot. We need depth. We need. I know Nandi Madubuike underwent neck surgery, so that's good to hear. So there's optimism that he will play this year. So getting Trey Hendrickson. I know the Max Crosby trade didn't go through. I know a lot of people are still kind of holding that over Eric DeCosta's head. Still got to figure out what we're going to do about Marlon Humphrey. You could do anything with the 14th overall pick. I've seen some drafts say offensive line. I've seen some people say wide receiver. I've seen some people say another tight end, a safety, corner. It's a lot because I mean, at that point, it's best available player. So, I mean, but to close it, to sum it all up, I'm just optimistic to see what both teams are going to do.
Oh yeah, man! I'm very excited to see. We got at edge Dafe Owe. Didn't y'all have him at one point? I know the Chargers did.
Yep.
What could we expect from that? I know we paid him top dollar to be that come off that edge. What do you think? What do you know from having him in Baltimore?
Well, I McDonald did when he was in Baltimore. He did something to Dafe Owe that, I mean, the talent's there. And the potential and the upside is there. I just don't understand what the last 2 years was different under Zach, and even going to the Chargers under Mentor. And then they did the exact same thing. They have double-digit sacks. I do not see what was different. So that does tell me it was coaching. But you're getting a good pass rusher. And I think with this new staff, you should get the same production. So you just gotta hope for the consistency. That's all.
Yep.
So, but you're getting a guy with tremendous upside.
I'm with that. I'm excited about that, man. So, hey, we'll see to that. But look, we got to talk about some other stuff. You guys talked about you getting Hendrickson and that trade. Obviously, that's under the new coach because your old coach, I don't know why y'all had to let him go so that he can come into our division. But now Harbaugh is with the New York Giants and Big Nate Dogg. I mean, he's already making moves. He has orchestrated a trade to get rid of Dexter Lawrence and send him to the Bengals, and they ended up getting the 10th overall pick. Now the Giants have the 5th pick in this year's first round and the 10th pick in this year's first round. But let's go first and foremost to the fact that Dexter Lawrence, we know he was a first-round talent. We know the name is big, the production up and down. What are your thoughts about him coming in? Obviously, Hendrickson is no longer there. We already know where most of the Bengals' money is tied up in. Does this make a difference? Are you fearing now that he's in their pass rush, or what are you thinking?
Well, there's context to this. So with Harbaugh there, they made it clear that in terms of the overseeing the players and wanting power, there's going to be shared there between him and Joe Sheehan. Now, my understanding with Lawrence's agent, he wasn't even made available to John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh wasn't even made available to him. Dexter Lawrence had wanted out of New York for some time. He requested the trade. My understanding, there had been frustration as of last year. I understand he had dealt with an injury back in 2023. I want to make this clear. We have not seen an NFL team give up a top 10 pick. The last time I've seen that, the big boss, Randy Moss, Minnesota, going to the Raiders, and then Russell Wilson and Denver. And we all know how that went.
Let him cook.
And then, because if I remember with Randy Moss, they got Napoleon Harris. And yeah.
Who?
Yeah. Napoleon Harris.
Exactly. No, exactly. My point exactly.
I think when you look at the trade, I want to. One thing the fact that teams are willing to give up. I'm looking at this from a long-term perspective. There's something about this draft that I'm want to question front GMs and scouts about, because for something about this draft, the fact that you're willing to give up a first-round pick, because now within the last nine months, yes, Micah Parsons, Quentin Williams, obviously, as I said earlier, Max Crosby, and now Dexter Lawrence. The fact that you're willing to, and then, not trading, he was a free agent.
Oh no, he was free agent. You're right.
Now that you're willing to give up a first round pick, that tells me a lot of you're not confident in this group of this class. Now, last year, the difference was Cincinnati was trying to find a first round pick for Trey Hendrickson, who was coming off 17 and a half sacks, if I remember correctly.
Back-to-back years of that.
Yes, and they couldn't find that. Now, I am a little skeptical on why Cincy didn't get a lot of this trade. You didn't land at first. If you're in New York, you could have at least got a couple firsts. If you're in New York, now if I'm Cincy, I would at least got a second, maybe a fourth, maybe a next year third or something with him, because my understanding is a 1 year extension on his contract. But I mean, like, I'm not comfortable with seeing that. And yes, there's some anomalies. I can go an example with the Rams. I know have done it. Brandon Cooks, as an example. I just got the Trent McDuffie from Kansas City, Jalen Ramsey, but I'm just not comfortable with giving up a top 5 pick to right now, because I don't know what New York's going to take. Because personally, I think New York's going to go, I think, offensive line with one of those picks, and probably buff up the defensive line with the other pick. Because a couple things, like I said, I think there's some teams that are not sold on this class, but also too, like, you look at it. Okay, example, right? Carnell Tate, I think is great at Ohio State. He's the number 1 wide receiver. David Bailey, how big is his upside as an elite pass rusher in this league? Avro Reese, like, is he the pass rusher that people say he is? But also to this, teams are not willing to be patient with a guy. It's like, I'm going to take my chances now. I'll sacrifice a first-round pick, 2 first-round picks, and get a guy who is already developed and ready to play. And I think that's highly risky. I just think right now, and then yes, I think Dexter Lawrence has proven he's a good player. I know he came off 9 sacks 2024. But last year, the Giants sucked. But in fairness to the Giants, they dealt with injuries, inconsistencies. They were they just did not build off that wild card success. Let's just keep it real. And yes, I've said this before, and I'll say this again. Coaching matters. There's no way you could go from 9 sacks to half a sack like that, and then that's impossible. I don't think that's a player. I think that's scheme. I think that's not having key personnel around you, because Cincinnati, they did buff up. They did get some players in free agency. I don't think it's enough, but I'm curious to see what it will look like. But I mean, like, I think they got Brian Cook, Boy Mafe. Oh, wait, no. They did sign Jonathan Allen, I want to say. So, yeah, okay. You guys, they should be okay. I give it an A for Cincy. If I'm New York, they get an A+. I take it back, because now I might go with the running back, because with Scatterboo, his concussions, it could be anything. So it could be anything with those. I'd say with New York, it's going to prioritize defense or offense? I say personally with 5. I know you talked about with Washington, Jeremiah Love, but question is with Scatterboo, how's he look coming off his injury? And then Caleb Downs is in there as well. But yeah, that's how I look at the trade.
Oh yeah, and yeah, now with John Allen there going along with Dexter Lawrence, that should be pretty legit. And I agree. I think I've seen a lot of people talk about Jeremiah Love going to the Giants. That second pick, who knows? They might get Reuben Baines to replace that defense. Now they have a all young defense. It'll be definitely very interesting to kind of see how they do and how they play out. And then speaking of trades and staying in the division, we know there's been a lot of chatter in the house in the NFC East about a player that was brought in on a trade in the last draft, and that's AJ Brown. For those of you that remember, I believe it was 2022, was it?
Yes.
That he got traded.
Yeah.
On the draft night, first round draft night, he got traded from the Titans to Philly in 2022, and now after going to a couple Super Bowls and winning one, AJ Brown, he's talked about his mental health, he's talked about certain things, and he kind of wants out. I've heard some reports of him being tied to the Patriots. There's a lot of information being tied to the Patriots. But I think the question needs to be asked, is this going to happen again? And you look at it like in a relationship. If you're in a relationship with somebody and then you start cheating and then you get with the one you cheated on, most times that tends to happen again. It just history repeats itself. So is this what's going to happen again? I'm just putting it like that. I mean, is this going to happen again? Will the Eagles trade AJ Brown on draft night? And look, we all are pretty certain that he wants out, and they're all pretty certain that the marriage between those two have has run its course. But will a deal get done?
Frankly, honestly, I don't care. Well, because the first thing is, unlike some, AJ Brown needs to take accountability. When you publicly go in front of the media and these cryptic posts on Instagram talking about you're not happy with your role, and then on top of that, when the lights shine the brightest, and I need you in certain moments, where are you? Yeah, like he did the same thing in Tennessee. So I mean, he wants to be traded. Okay. But it's sad that through all of this, his quarterback has gotten scapegoated. And the sad part is that Jalen Hurts has been the main one who has been quiet and has to take all the punch to the face. Because he doesn't get in front of the cameras and rah, like, because I feel bad. And on top of it, I get it. From how the team looked last year, not this past season, but the previous season before when they won the championship, it's not the same team how they looked this year. But the offensive coordinator they had, that was Nick Sirianni's boy. Sirianni has to take accountability for that. But I think to go again at some point, like we can't keep. You know what? I'm gonna put the equivalent like this. One of my a guest that I had on my podcast is a teacher, and put it in the equivalent of a student. If there was an issue, okay, we moving from one class, and then the same student had another issue, put them in a different class, and then that same issue, different class. Okay, at some point, maybe it ain't the class, maybe it's you. So it's like, when do you become satisfied, and when do you go, okay? Because, okay, you go to New England, and it doesn't work out, then what? And then on top of that, like, what are the expectations? Like, the experiment with Stephon Diggs, that appears to be over. And then on top of that, like, I don't think they need to. I don't think they need a star. Well, let me take it back. Do I think he makes a difference? Sure, but I mean, he reunites with Mike Vrabel. So, will he get traded on draft night? No. I think they'll wait till the post June 1st, where I think they'll see. I could be wrong.
In the new year, the new fiscal year.
Yeah. But the cap comes down some. Yeah. But they're not responsible for the money.
Could be interesting. And then we already know Drake May could definitely use the help. And like to your point, Stephon Diggs, the Maryland guy, did not show up. Especially not in the Super Bowl. Didn't show up till late in that ball game, and then wants to talk trash. I didn't particularly take too kindly to that, just because I'm like the game's already over. But this is quite interesting. AJ Brown, he's been in the news. Obviously, he's been a strong advocate for mental health and taking a look at that. We'll see. I'm not sure when it will get done, but I think it'd be crazy if it got done on draft night, because that was when they brought him in, and everybody thought, God, that's such a blockbuster trade. Look at everything Philly's doing. And then for him to leave the same way he came in, it's quite interesting. Quite interesting. History definitely might repeat itself. So who knows? Who knows? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick breather and go see my guy, Anton Benson, awesome artist. We'll be right back. Yes, sir. Yeah, buddy, that is my guy, Mr. Anton Benton of Awesome Artisans. Shout out to him and all the great work he does. I know he's in the 757 area, the Virginia Beach area, but he definitely travels up and down the East Coast and to the Midwest. So definitely get in touch with him. He's a great, great guy. I am here with my guy, Nathan Snell, host Big Nate Sports Talk. Anything new on the horizon? Anything coming up?
Yeah, so we just finished up really talking with the WNBA draft. So I did a video with that. Interviewed Bree McDaniel, who's coming back for her senior season, Maryland. We're gonna kind of do a deep dive with the Washington Mystics draft. I've seen some fans, and even though some of the cover the Mystics, I think are doing a bit much in terms of criticizing how the Mystics drafted and not understanding, I think, the snap count and the of how the Mystics were coming into not only this draft, but this rebuild process as a whole. Right. And then also too, just getting ready for the Ravens and Commanders draft as a whole. But yeah, that's what's coming down the pipe.
Nice. Definitely look forward to that. And we had one more thing we were going to talk about, just one final thought that we wanted to bring up. I did a video a couple days ago, basically about the rebrand. I actually did two videos, one about the new jerseys coming out, and then I did a video where they still kept a little bit of the past, although they didn't say it was from the past. It's easily misconstrued in that way. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, put it up now. There it is. The Washington Commanders, still in their Hail, Hail Razor jerseys, have implemented not only the W on the helmet, but the spear. Now, in doing a little research and being corrected by a number of people, the spear is supposed to be in reference to the spears used by the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
To me, hogwash. And I understand what they're trying to say, but you cannot tell me from a fan base that is so hungry, an older fan base that is so hungry to return to the glory of the representation of the Native American and the Redskins and all of that, and we use the spear. The spear was used as a symbol of that. Now, I'm not going to go into depth into what I said the other night, but the spear still symbolizes a connection. And anybody that really asks, that you really talk to, that aren't being checked and asked about the Native American part, I believe, and I have talked to people that say it reminds me of those days and that. And so the Native American group came out and they said it's disingenuous that you're going to put this in while also telling us that you're moving away from that. But Nathan, while I got you here, I wanted to ask your opinion. You and I have talked about it a lot off camera. What are your thoughts, especially now with the knowledge of it being a Roman spear? You talked to me about a lot of other groups that also had the spear. But first, what are your thoughts on them saying that this is nothing to do with the Native American community or imagery, and just the simple fact that do they need the spear at all?
So when I looked at the initially when it first came out with the spear, I initially went to Greek mythology, you know, and also to understanding the spear has been used in different tribes throughout the world throughout centuries. And I understand the perspective of where those in the Native American community are coming from, and I understand the perspective of where those are saying, well, no, this is where it's more tied to the Roman Empire. I would have liked to have seen, because I'm not sure if this is going to be, I guess when we talked off camera, I would like to know, was this like this was like going to be our only helmet we're wearing? Like,
no,
okay.
there's another helmet that they're wearing that just has the W in it, which is more the reason why it's in question, because the other helmet, there's no imagery
spear.
of spear.
So a part of me kind of wonders, like on Thursday, like on Thursday Night Football, like like example, the Ravens had like the gold, like the purple rush. I'm kind of wondering if it's just like Washington, like on a home game, just like brings this out on a home game, like on Monday Night Football or a Thursday Night Football, not like every home game they're wearing this, on the spear. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I think there are people within front office and management that I think that I feel from my perspective that I think are aware that I think of what they're trying to.
Oh, they're definitely aware
of trying to be making sure that everybody is heard and appreciated, but I don't. From my perspective, I wouldn't necessarily, and I understand where the individuals that you were talking to, what we're coming from, but just like in the same, but you could say in any other, and we were talking about this on off camera. Sometimes it's, and this is in general, and this I'm not speaking in general. Sometimes we have to take a step back and understand. Okay, well, I understand. Like, the spear is a tool. The spear is a tool for hunting. Like, the spear is, I know is a tool to kill, in war. And also, I talk about in Greek mythology, in the Bible, different things like that. But like, when I look at Commander, I'm thinking, where to take command. Like, when we're in the field, we, are for 60 minutes, we're going to do everything when it's all after 60 minutes. We took command.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I see like the spear to me. You know what I'm saying?
But now, let me ask you this: with our mascot being Tutty the pig, is he gonna come out with a spear now? Like how does it like I get what people are saying that okay, the spear, the commander, and now we're going to the Roman Empire or whatever. But then are we going to change that? The Tutty, is he going to be Roman now? If that's what we're going towards, it doesn't make much sense to me because we're doing it over here and we're using this as an explanation, but it just even if we're saying the Roman thing, then are we making commanders all Roman? And is the commanders now Washington Commanders are the commanders of the Roman army? Is that what we're doing? I'm just trying to see, other than the imagery from the past of the Native American spear, how are we tying together the spear with now what we've apparently gone to as what I thought was Commander in General and DC and Tutty being the Hogs, and that was the connection. Like that's where I'm kind of like, what are we doing?
So what would you have liked to have seen on this helmet in particular?
Just W.
Okay.
To be honest with you, and that's the thing, I don't have an issue with any. Now the black helmets and jerseys and all. I'm not, and as a matter of fact, I think. Do I have it? Yeah, I have it. This is the full Hail Razor jersey. I'm not a fan. I said that the other night when I'm really not a fan of the whole outfit. I mean it is what it is. Let me see. I'll go up top so we can see. There you can see down there. You can see what it looks like with the spear in there. I think they could have done without that, personally. But respectfully, they did put that in there, and that's fine. But to me, it's just not necessary to me. So it really looked like they were going out of their way to make the connection to name, because that's the first thing everybody thinks. Nobody thinks Roman Empire until you look it up, until you do that research.
So when you think of Tutty, so Tutty's a pig, right?
Yeah.
So when you think of pig, what do you think of?
The Hogs.
So okay, but Tutty's a pig, but knowing how cops are called pigs. For people, that's how, so you know what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? I know that that's a slang to call a pig, which is inappropriate. But right. I know that, like, I get your perspective. I get their perspective. Like, it's all at the end of the day perspectives. Like, I just feel like, I think like it's kind of like I look at it this way. I think there's going to be I think it's an interesting conversation. And I mean, I see what they're trying to do, where I think they are trying to still have some replica of old Washington football, but still try to find a new identity. Now, because I mean, like, the way, like, if that's the case, then let's just go back to the Washington football team, because right. That's like, because like I feel like there's always going to be somebody that we're never going to satisfy, because how do I not know, like, there was not other conversations with other Native American groups? You know what I'm saying? I
get that, but the whole thing about it is, and my whole argument with the spear is them trying to bridge the gap. But isn't that what bringing back the 1991 replica jerseys was all about? Bringing us back to the glory years? Even Tutty, I get your reference to the pig, but in this reference, Tutty was in reference to the Hogs, which was one of the most, if not the most dominant offensive line group in history. So that's two ways that we're bringing people back to the past. I just feel like we could have done it without the spear. That's my main point. I get people and people that are defending it, not towards you, but other people that I've heard that are staunch defenders of the spear. Again, like you said, perspective. We all have our opinions, but I just think you could have done without it because it just is too many people are making that correlation or making that connection, and then now you have other people talking about, oh well, that community is being over dramatic. Well, is it over dramatic if we were the Washington Crackers? Like, you know what I mean? You and I made a joke, about one of the old Negro League. The Black Crackers, you know what I mean? It's just one of those situations where when you bring it upon yourself, and you bring it, and I spoke to somebody in the Native American community, and the way that they portrayed it to me is that we don't want our heritage being used as a mascot. So I get that. We take away the face, we take away all the imagery, the headdress, blah blah blah. And again, you and I have talked about it. I think if we're going to take it out here, wipe it from everywhere else, because doing all that tomahawk chop and all that other stuff over there, it doesn't. If we're not going to pay homage to that community truthfully, then we don't get to use their stuff. But with this, it's too close to the past that we were trying, or that we said we were trying to move on from, for us then to bring it back and then use it, and then not only use it, but then use it and say, oh, we're doing it out of this way now, or we're going to use it because this group used it. I don't know. Maybe I'm being over dramatic, which I've heard people say that I'm being, and that's fine. That's for everybody's, like you said, it's perspective. Everybody has your opinion. Sure. I just think and here's the other part about it. If this is being done to bridge the gap, then say this was being done to bridge the gap. Own up to it. Don't tell me this hogwash stuff's about it's about the Roman Empire. Because that's to me that's a scapegoat. That's you sitting here trying to pretend like, oh, it's about something else. Because to your point, I could say that about the African Empire. I could say that about most groups used the spear back before when they had primitive weapons. Yeah. So we can use that on anything. But I don't see us making a mascot or making something like, if we're going to go that way, then let's go that way fully. A commander wouldn't use a Roman spear. Or maybe they would, if we're looking at it that way. So maybe I'm off, but
no, I mean, your opinion is valid. I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, it's all a perspective. I mean, and it's good conversation to have. Like but for me, like I learned to see it from two different ways. There's always two sides. Even though there's two. And it's good to see it from different ways. Like. How you see it from, your way, and then there's the other side. So, I mean, everyone's going to agree to disagree, and that's totally fine. As long as it's nothing where, they went right back to, I don't know, like where they had like blood, like, like they had the chief on with the feather or something.
Full headdress. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, then I think we're like, okay.
Right.
Like,
right. What are we doing? And look, at the end of the day, like you said, there is always going to be a set of people that want that stuff back. Like I said it on the video the other day, my granddaddy, who's all he's known as Redskins, and he refused to call them anything other than Redskins. So there it is. I completely understand that. But I think if we're going to move on, let's fully move on. And at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But look, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hop off of that one. And we're going to go ahead and head out of here. Real quick before I go, definitely want to shout out my guy, DJ J Red. Definitely got to get with him. He's got merch out, ladies and gentlemen. So you got to get you one of these and tune into some of his beats. He's going to be with us this fall. Danae and I on some Let's Talk Football. And also, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. In getting close to the draft and I'm doing a little bit more stuff, I stay tuned for my top 10 all-time greatest Washington Redskins Commanders football team players. I'm doing my list. Now, there's going to be a little bit of bias, so I know there's going to be somebody on there that a lot of you are going to be like, top 10 all time? For real? Yes. I'm telling you it's biased right now. But stay tuned for that, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be something.
In that top 10 somewhere.
Yo, this guy. No, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. Mark Rippon, baby. Let's go. He's up there. Number two. Yo, but look, we have got to get out of here. You see my guy over there, Mr. Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk, doing big things. Definitely got to get you back on here, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And you know what it is. It is your boy, Sean Spencer. So we will see you guys on the flip side. Hope you have a good rest of your evening. Peace, people. Yeah.